A very good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss with another topic, that is otalgia. Have you heard about otalgia? So otalgia, it is a simply we can call it as it is a earache. So let us see the definition. Otalgia is defined as ear pain or earache. So it's a terminology we are using uh, ear pain. Okay, that is called otalgia. So two separate and distinct type of otalgia exist. There are mainly two type of otalgia present. Pain that originates within the ear is primary otalgia. Pain that originates outside the ear is referred otalgia. So two types of otalgia is there, or earache is there. One is primary otalgia. Primary otalgia means the pain which is originate within the ear or from the ear. That exact or the primary factor of the pain is from the ear itself. Okay, it is directly related to ear. Another one is referred. Referred means outside from the ear. Outside from the ear means not from the environment, the surrounding parts. Okay, so we already discussed that ear also comes under it's a part of the head. So anywhere in the face or head or the neck portion, if any some other underlying disorder is there, so because of the disease the pain can also spread to the ear. That kind of spreaded pain we are calling it as referred otalgia. For example, toothache. So when you are having tooth problems or tooth pain, that same pain will radiate to the ear. Okay, or if you are having some sinus problem, so that time also the pain will radiate to the ear. So that kind of pain we can call it as referred otalgia. We will discuss in detail. Next, we will see the risk factors. What are the risk factors which can lead to earache or otalgia? Insertion of unclean or sharp particles into the ear. So sometimes by mistake also while doing we are trying to insert some kind of unclean or unhygienic things into the ear. For example, pen, pencil, or sometimes contaminated cotton buds. So this all things can lead to inflammation or infection in the ear and can result in otalgia. Then another one is installation of contaminated solutions. If any kind of solution is instilled, for example, in village areas and all for ear infections, normally they are using some kind of oil or some kind of fluids. Okay, or they are prepared. Okay, by self-prepared oil or fluid they are using. So that can lead to contamination and earache can occur. Then swimming in polluted water means if you are swimming in a contaminated water, definitely the that water is entering into the ear, then can cause inflammation. Then recent upper respiratory tract infection. So I told that this END is also comes under upper respiratory part, or it's a part of the upper respiratory system. So if there is any upper respiratory infection like pharyngitis, tonsillitis, adenoiditis, that can also lead to otalgia, because the that ear inside the ear one particular area is there or part is there, that is called eustachian tube, that is drained into the nasopharyngeal region. So any infection in the upper respiratory tract can spread to the ear. Next one is eustachian tube dysfunction. So that only this point only I discussed. Eustachian tube dysfunction. If proper draining is not occurring from the eustachian tube, or if it is obstructed or blocked, that can lead to earache. Then allergies. Any kind of allergies can lead to earache. So these are the risk factors. Okay. Then next we will see the causes. Etiology. First we will discuss about primary otalgia. So there are so many causes you can see in this slide. First we will start with pinna. So earache mainly we are discussing from the outer part. So pinna, in pinna, laceration and bite, hematoma, otitis externa, that is the inflammation of external ear, perichondritis, infected preauricular sinus, frostbite, sunburn. Some of the topic we have discussed yesterday. Okay. Then in external auditory canal, okay, that passage you can see now the pathway in that area due to impacted wax or obstruction of the wax. So all of you know that inside your ear wax is present. So there are so many function is there for wax. So when the wax is accumulated excess, that can lead to pain. then foreign body, any foreign body, then keratosis obturans, that is a dermatological condition or skin infection, then otitis externa, then herpes zoster oticus, exostosis means any extra bone formation, then neoplasm, any new growth. So these are the possible causes of primary otalgia in pinna and external auditory canal. Next, we will move to the referred otalgia, how the referred otalgia is occurring. So, as I told in the beginning, referred otalgia means it is spreading, that pain is spreading from other part of for part of the head or neck region. It's not in from the ear. The exact cause is not from the ear. So let us see. First one is trigeminal nerve. You already, all of you, familiar with this particular nerve, trigeminal nerve. It is present in the facial region, and you have to go through the anatomy and physiology about the function of trigeminal nerve. So in trigeminal nerve, mainly it is supplying to the teeth, oral cavity, temporomandibular region and all. So any changes happening in this area can lead to referred pain from trigeminal nerve, like infection of tooth infection, then malocclusion, if any tooth is maloccluded, or if it is if the formation of tooth is misplaced, then oral cavity, any infection in the oral cavity, ulcer, malignancy, Ludwig angina. Ludwig angina means lockjaw means it is a condition which can occur just underneath the tongue. Okay, then salivary calculus. Okay, so these are the some causes can lead to trigeminal nerve inflammation. Then temporomandibular joint arthritis or dysfunction. Then in nose and peripheral nerve system impacted, DNS, sinusitis, neoplasm. Okay, this can lead to trigeminal nerve inflammation. Then nasopharynx, infection of the nasopharynx post adenodectomy. Post adenodectomy means after the removal of adenoid gland. Then adenoiditis, inflammation of the adenoid gland. Adenoid gland is present just beneath the pharynx. Okay. Then tumor. So these are the possible causes which can lead to inflammation of trigeminal nerve. So that can lead to referred pain. Next nerve we can see is a glossopharyngeal nerve, that is also present in the head region or in the face region. It is mainly supplying to the tonsil or pharynx, then the tongue and all. Okay, so we can just to see what are the conditions which can lead to inflammation of glossopharyngeal nerve. It includes tonsillitis, peritonsillar abscess that we will discuss in later, then post-tonsillectomy or neoplasm, new new growth of cells. Then oropharynx, you can see that infection, ulcer, retropharyngeal or parapharyngeal abscess means backside of the pharynx or side of the pharynx if there is any abscess, then trauma and neoplasm. Then Eagle syndrome, then glossopharyngeal neuralgia. So these are the possible conditions which can lead to inflammation of glossopharyngeal nerve. Then next nerve is facial nerve. So due to the inflammation of facial nerve also, referred otalgia can occur. Okay. So herpes zoster oticus, vestibular schwannoma. So that are some conditions which can inflame facial nerve. The next one is vagus nerve. Larynx first, hypopharynx, neoplasm, infection. This vagus nerve is supplying to larynx and hypopharynx. So in this region, the main supply is with vagus nerve. So if the vagus nerve is inflamed, that can lead to referred otalgia. So it includes neoplasm, infection, tuberculosis, trauma, or foreign body. So these are the possible causes can lead to vagus nerve inflammation, thus result in referred otalgia. Then why second and third, cervical nerve. So behind the neck you can see that cervical vertebra is going on. So cervical nerve also involved in referred otalgia. It includes herpes zoster, cervical spondylosis and arthritis. Okay. So we have discussed about so many etiology. So just go through that. Mainly two type of otalgia is there. That is, first one is primary otalgia and second one is referred. Referred otalgia means mainly due to the inflammation of the nerve which is surrounding the face and neck region. So due to the inflammation of the nerve, the pain can spread to the ear. So that we can call it as referred otalgia. Let us see the pathophysiology. It is very simple and short. Due to the etiological factors, we have seen mainly etiological factors are either trauma or infection. So infections we are discussed, or any trauma, any injury that can lead to inflammation, as we already discussed in previous class also. Due to any trauma or infection, what can occur? Inflammation can occur. Due to the inflammation, release of inflammatory mediators like cytokines, serotonin, these are the inflammatory mediators, and chemotaxis of leukocytes. Okay, presence of leukocytes will be occurring, and this is a kind of primary immunodeficiency mechanism. So due to this immunodeficiency, what will happening? That immune mechanism. Okay, it's a primary immune mechanism or a protective mechanism. Due to this protective mechanism of our body, tissue edema can occur, then pain, heat, and redness. So from this, what we can understand is pain is also a kind of immune defense mechanism. Okay, so due to the immunity, pain is occurring. So pain will indicate some kind of underlying infection or inflammation. So in case of earache also, when you are suffering from ear pain, definitely we are going for diagnosis of the underlying disease, and we can easily identify the inflammation or infection behind the ear pain. So it is a kind of primary immune defense mechanism. So this all about the pathophysiology of otalgia. Let us see the signs and symptoms. So nothing else more, there is no more signs and symptoms. Main signs and symptoms, earache and ear pain. Otology itself, we know that the signs and symptoms, mainly it is earache and ear pain. And some of the symptoms, suggesting symptoms, we can see in referred otalgia. Okay, so primary otalgia main symptom is pain or earache. So in referred otalgia, pain on chewing or trismus, while chewing time you will feel some kind of pain. Then dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing. Odinophagia, painful swallowing. Hoarseness, changes in the voice. Then some of the risk factors, smoking or alcohol. Then neck swelling, goiter, then cervical musculoskeletal symptoms, then dental history. So these are the suggesting symptoms can occur in referred otalgia. So any of the condition is there means that can lead to referred otalgia, or it is a symptom of referred otalgia. Let us see the diagnostic evaluation. Here some more neuropathic pain symptoms are given. Radiation will be there. Then some quality of pain, typical time, course or duration. Then triggers on precipitating factors like swallowing. So in these conditions, mainly referred pain is occurring. So when there is a radiation, that we can call as referred pain. Then if it is triggered, or if some precipitating factor is there, for example swallowing, while swallowing, if you are having earache, that is a referred pain. So that's only they mention. Then let us see the diagnostic evaluation. So how we can diagnose? Main thing is history collection. So in that, you have to collect the history of sight, which side of the ear, either in the left or right. Then onset, when it started, characteristic of the pain. So there are some characteristics there in the pain we already discussed in the last year. So whether it is throbbing, stabbing, or whether it is a that pain sensation, we can differentiate. Then radiation, whether it is radiating means spreading or not. Okay, then associating factors along with this pain, whether the person is having nausea, vomiting, any kind of discharge, ear discharge, or any fluid leak is there, or any kind of fever. So this you have to collect in the history. Then timing of pain, when it is happening. So sometimes the pain is occurring when the triggering factor or aggravating factor is stimulating. For example, if it is a referred otalgia, while swallowing or while coughing, that time the person will get the feel. Then exacerbating factors, any exacerbating factor is there. Then severity, how much intense. So these are the things you have to collect from the history. Then next we will move to the physical examination. Mainly before examination, as you know, we have to take the permission from the patient, especially in earache, because it is very sensitive part, and patient will feel more discomfort. Then you have to check for tenderness or pain. Any tenderness or pain is there, any kind of sign of otitis externa, that is inflammation of the or infection of the external ear, that is called otitis externa. Then you have to do the inspection. Then next one is otoscopic examination. For that, we are having an instrument. With the help of the instrument, we have to check for the auditory canal. So you can identify any kind of bone growth, neoplasm, or any wax obstruction, or any kind of internal injury that we can identify through otoscopic examination. And you have to assess for cranial nerves. Okay, reflex also you have to access, so that we can conclude the cause of the otalgia. So this is all about diagnostic evaluation. Next we will move to the management. So here main thing is we have to promote for the healing. For promoting healing, we can go for ear irrigation. Okay, in the first year you have studied about ear irrigation, how to perform. So ear irrigation is one of the management for, it's a non-pharmacological management for relief from otalgia. Then next one is administration of antibiotic. So we are having lot of antibiotics is there, so that we can ciprofloxacin, then we can go for ofloxacin. So these all antibiotics will help to relieve from this earache. Then next one is to alleviate pain. So if the person is having pain, so we have to provide analgesia, ibuprofen, or we can provide some paracetamol painkillers. So it will help to relieve from the pain. Then restore normal function and remove foreign bodies. We can restore the normal function with the help of, if any foreign body is obstructed in the ear, so that we can remove, so that the normal function will be restoring. So these are the management, mainly ear irrigation, then administration of antibiotics and administration of analgesics. We have to write the example for each one. Then let us see surgical management. Mainly for otalgia, there is no surgical management, but if the otalgia is due to some underlying condition, so in that condition we will go for I told that otalgia is not a condition, it is a symptom which showing some underlying problem is there. Okay, so in order to find out the underlying problem, we have to go for the diagnostic test, and once we identify, then if it is surgery is necessary, then we have to go for the surgical management. It include meningeoplasty, that is a closure of simple perforation of tympanic membrane. So tympanic membrane perforation, that we will discuss in later in your unit, one topic is there. So that is a condition which is occurring in the inner part of the, or in the inside the ear, can lead to otalgia. Then tympanoplasty, that is a repair or correction of the tympanic membrane. Then ossiculoplasty, that is ossicular reconstruction. I told that one of the cause of otitis, otalgia is bone growth. So if bone growth is there, that we have to go for ossiculoplasty. Then meningotomy, there we are making an incision on the tympanic membrane, through which we can remove the fluid. So if excessive wax content is there in the ear, that we can remove with the help of meningotomy. And last one is mastoidectomy, removal of the mastoid gland. So sometimes because of the inflammation of mastoid gland also, person will suffering from otalgia. So in that condition, we will go for mastoidectomy. So understood about the surgical management. So if any underlying condition is there, that time only we are going for the surgery. There is no direct surgery for otalgia. Otalgia we can manage through antibiotics and analgesics. If there is any underlying factor, if you are found after pharmacological management, then we are going for surgical management. Next, we will see the precautions after surgery or nursing management, including a client must lie with operated ear up for several hours after surgery. If they undergone surgery, is a post-operative management. They have to lie with operated ear up. Okay, that ear should be keep opposite to the lying position. Then, if necessary, the client should blow the nose gently one side at a time. If they are feeling some ear closure or something, then they can blow the air through the. They have to close the nose and they have to blow the air, so that time they will relieve from the discomfort. Then client should sneeze or cough with the mouth open for 1 week after surgery. So till 1 week after ear surgery, the person should not cough or sneeze with an open mouth. If they are opening the mouth, then can lead to changes in the fluid. Then participation in water sports or activities is prohibited. Okay, they should not. They should avoid the activities which involve water sports. Okay. Then next is avoid physical activity for 1 week and exercise or sports for 3 weeks after surgery. They avoid all kind of physical activities. Then avoid heavy lifting. Change the cotton ball in the ear daily. Daily they have to change the cotton ball, otherwise infection can occur. Keep the ear dry for 4 to 6 weeks. Do not shampoo for 1 week, because there's a chance of entering shampoo into the ear. Then avoid airplane flights for the first week after surgery. because while traveling in flight, if you travel that time, you can experience that while changing the height, there with the or changing the altitude or the height, there will be some changes in air pressure, so that will affect the ear. Okay. Then wear noise defenders in loud environment, inform in case of bleeding from the ear. So if you are exposed to some noise environment, like for example some DJ or some music things are behind you, so that time, or if you are using some kind of loud noises, you are hearing some loud noises, you have to close your eyes with the help of, sorry, ears with the help of ear plugs are available, so you can keep earplugs, otherwise cotton ball you can keep, so that that intensity of sound you can reduce. So this all about the topic otalgia. It's a small topic, and I told that it's a symptom of underlying disease. So mainly we can call otalgia terminology we are using for earache or ear pain. There are two type of otalgia, primary and referred. Primary otalgia is directly or within the ear, affecting within the ear, or referred otalgia is from outside the ear. Mainly it is due to inflammation of the nerves. We have seen that what are the conditions which can lead to inflammation of the nerves. Then we have seen the pathophysiology, how it is occurring. So due to the trauma or injury, what is happening, there is an inflammation, then there is a release of chemical receptors, and that can lead to edema, pain, redness, and swelling. Then we have seen how to what are the signs and symptoms. So mainly that is earache or ear pain. Then we have seen how to diagnose the condition. First, history collection. We have to take a proper history collection, and we have to do the physical examination with the help of otoscope. It's an instrument we are using for ear examination. Then management, we have seen that mainly non-pharmacological management is ear irrigation. Then pharmacological management is antibiotics and analgesics. Then another thing is foreign body removal. Then we have seen that some of the surgical management, if any underlying condition is persisting or if still there, then we have to go for surgical management. Then post-operative management we have seen, and you have to it's an assignment for you, that is you have to write the nursing management for otalgia. This was about today's topic, and we have to go through the topic, and you have to make the notes. If there is any doubt, you can feel free to contact me. Thank you. Have a nice day.